Good evening and welcome to Thanksgiving Tips and Tricks. I'm Keith Tebow from FRC Media. I'm pleased to be joined tonight on this especially live program here at FRC Media, both on FRC TV and on FRC Radio. I'm joined tonight by Chef Gloria Cabral, culinary arts instructor here at Bristol Community College, and also with Gloria is Jen Collier, who was a student here at Bristol Community College. Gloria, thanks for being here, first of all.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, Keith. I'm so excited about the holidays and Thanksgiving.
Yeah, the purpose of the show, and actually, Gloria, you had this idea about 3 or 4 months ago. You said, wouldn't it be great to have a live television program where we can help people get ready for their Thanksgiving feast? And that's what tonight is actually about. We're here for at least a half hour or so, and you can give us a call if you're getting ready for that big meal on Thanksgiving morning or Thanksgiving afternoon, and you're not quite sure some steps that you need to take to get ready for the big day. Consider us your resource. Give us a call live at 508-730-3222, and Gloria will help, not me, Gloria will help you with some of those Thanksgiving holiday meal questions. Now, Gloria, when we think of Thanksgiving, it's really the one holiday where people are focused on food.
Right. It's food because we get together as families, everybody has their traditions, and we celebrate the Thanksgiving meal. Granted, they say Thanksgiving was the Pilgrims' time and they got together, but we as a family want to be together to celebrate our thanks for the food we have and the health and everything else that we have.
You know, one of the great things, and tonight we're going to be showing you a number of different aspects of Thanksgiving. Of course, Gloria is also the host of the show For the Love of Cooking here on FRC TV. And Gloria, your show that's currently airing is about Thanksgiving and preparing for the feast. So we're going to be mixing in some of the highlights of that show into what's going on tonight. But what's Jen doing here on set?
Jen's getting ready to, she's prepping a lattice crust top, and it will look like this. What's nice about Thanksgiving, we have our traditional pumpkin pies, and as a freshman they learn how to make pies with a fluted crust or lattice crust to give for the holidays. She will be making the lattice crust, which is a woven dough, and we crimp the edges so they look nice and pretty, and we'll bake it off for the holidays. This way they can use fresh, if you have fresh, I say fresh as in fresh because it was in season in the summer, but fresh or frozen fruits from your garden or anything else. I grow raspberries, strawberries, and in the neighborhood we have a lot of blueberries that I freeze for this time of the year. Also, I go to the local orchard and get some wonderful apples for apple pie. On an apple pie, I like to use 3 different types of apples. You know, a strong Granny Smith because it's tart, a McCowan for a little tart and sweetness, and usually a Golden Delicious because it has that undertone of sweetness.
In one pie? In one pie.
Okay. The best way, I always ask my farmer at the orchard, and I said, what do you suggest and what is best at that time? Because he knows his fruits. And he'll usually give me maybe a different type of wine sap or a Jonathan apple to counteract it for whatever characteristic they have. So we'll do the different pies. But with a lattice crust like this, she's just putting, because that's where you want berries, so they bubble through and they look wonderful, and it gives it a nice look to your pie dough. With a apple pie, you usually put a 2-crusted pie, which is a crust on the top or the bottom, or with a simple, and she'll flute one of these here, you can do a streusel topping like you would on a blueberry muffin. You put your fresh fruit in there and you put the little crumb topping on it, which is a wonderful way to make a pie.
So Jen is moving right along. We're here with the with the lattice, and it's sort of like an over/under type thing, isn't it? With the dough.
It's like being when you were younger, weaving little pot holders, and you just get that little, you know, you get that little rhythm going and everything else. So once she finishes that, she will put the edges together, trim it, and maybe either pinch it or we do a fork edge on that.
As much as I love dessert first, there are other parts, obviously, to the Thanksgiving meal. 3 days out, now we're live on Monday, November 25th. 3 days out, should people be panicking if they haven't gotten anything yet for the Thanksgiving meal?
No, because you can get a fresh turkey. Just go to the store and buy a fresh turkey. And that's usually a turkey that has not been frozen.
Okay.
A frozen turkey, if it's small, you would have maybe some time to thaw it, but a 23-pounder would not be ready for Thanksgiving. So you just pay a little bit more and get the fresh turkey. I would start with the turkey then. Okay. And decide on what your trimmings are. I make my stuffing, usually I made it last week and I freeze it, so I have less time that I have to cook on Thanksgiving, the night before Thanksgiving.
Now, people usually like fresh, but in the case of something like stuffing, it's all right to be frozen and taken back out on the day that
Right,
it's gonna
before I put it in, because it's already been cooked. It's
Right.
not, there's nothing raw in it. It's already cooked. It's frozen right away. And we don't, when you buy from the store, what do you buy? You buy frozen things?
Right.
But it's only a week. It's only been a few days that really, and you're going to just thaw it out and get it right in your oven, because you're going to think of time. Oh, what a beautiful job on that pie.
And here's some of the footage from For the Love of Cooking.
Right. This was a Portuguese stuffing, very common in our area, and that's my mother-in-law's stuffing, and we'd be sauteing some onions. New thing was, because I just learned how to make that stuffing that day, she would take all the gizzards inside and grind them up and put them in there with the chorizo and the stock and everything else. And that's her family tradition to our family. So she will make that for us on Thanksgiving Day. I make a traditional stuffing from my grandmother, which is a hamburger. Sometimes you can add pork to it with celery and onions, and a Pepperidge Farm package stuffing that we would add to it. And
what are some of the ingredients there?
We have chorizo.
Okay.
You have eggs. The dark red stuff is chicken. I mean the liver from and the heart and all that from the turkey. And what you don't see right now is a little hot pepper and vinegar. And when she explained the recipe, she says, well, you need a handful of vinegar. I'm like, a handful of vinegar.
It's kind
all right.
of
yeah.
difficult.
Okay, Ma, let me see your hand and let's measure it out.
Whose hand?
That's
too,
it.
right?
It has to be. When a lot of recipes we get from our family, she'll say it's a coffee cup. Well, which kind of coffee cup? She
Especially
says,
this day and age, you get a coffee cup that's about the size of a thermos.
Yep. So I usually tell everybody, I says, when you have elderly parents, grandparents, you sit with them in a scale and say, you have them cook with you, so you just put it on the scale so you can mark it, because anything happens to them, your recipes, your heritage disappears, so you want to continue it.
Now that you're working on the stuffing, now traditionally, or maybe not so traditional, stuffing, when you consider stuffing, you think it should be in the bird. Now, it can be either way, outside of the bird or inside of the bird. Are there advantages or disadvantages to that?
The advantage of putting the stuffing in the bird, that's how I like mine, is because I'm going to absorb that flavor from the bones, as the bones are just, some of it will go into the bottom for my stock and my gravy, but that moistness goes into my stuffing and it stays very moist and it has a different flavor to it. Okay. But you have to make sure that you get it up to temperature. By the thigh area it should be 180 degrees, and by the breast area it's like 165. So invest in a thermometer. I think that's especially with this, because this is the time of year you don't want anybody to get sick with anything. And so we will make different stuffings. Now this stuffing is cooked, once I cook it in the pot, I would end up finishing it in the oven separately, because it's a drying method that as it cooks, it dries out a little bit. So that way
it's all mixed up.
It's all mixed up, all that wonderful flavor in there. And it's, with the chorizo, it's a whole different feeling. It's the comforting of a different family member, and my husband, that's one of his favorites to eat.
And I'm sure a lot of people in this neck of the woods probably may have that same type of recipe.
It's the same type of recipe, and it all depends on, I always say, if you come from Portugal or the Azores, what type of chorizo you would have or what you would add to it. But it's whatever it is, it's what your family makes of it. Right.
Again, we're here for you tonight. Gloria is going to be talking about some other methods of cooking the Thanksgiving meal, but we're here for you tonight. You can give us a call live right now. It is a little after 6 o'clock on Monday, November 25th. Give us a call at 508-730-3222 if you have a burning question, either about the Thanksgiving meal, or maybe you're new to the experience this year and you're cooking Thanksgiving for the first time and you have some questions for Gloria. Please send them our way right now, 508-730-3222. And now, Gloria, we are, that's the star of the show, this Tom Turkey.
Yes, I just took them out of a brine. Usually for 24 hours before I put my turkey in the oven, I put it in a cooler with ice water so it stays safety, sanitation, and I will fill it with sugar and salt. And some people will put different types of herbs. There are companies you can buy brines with, so it's a flavored water. I usually try using a little brown sugar and white sugar because it will enhance the flavor and also cleans out the bird. I always tell everybody, before you stuff a bird, make sure you take out all the parts.
Right.
Many times people say, oh, it's my first turkey, and what am I doing? They pack in the stuffing, and when they're taking it out later, there's a bag full of the neck. And the neck, to me, is one of the most flavorful parts of the bird, so we have to take it all out.
Is that the liver?
Yeah, the liver, the heart, yes. And what I always try to do is when you flavor your bird, people rub it on the outside. Well, I put it in between my skin. I put my hand between the skin and the meat, and I separate it, and that's where I fill all the flavors and all my herbs inside there, because that's where the meat is. There's no barrier of the fat.
So between the skin and the meat?
And the meats.
Okay.
And I'll do it on the inside and outside. I can just about take all the skin around that. And you want the flavor right on there. And when I prep it, like all my other things like the neck, I put in the bottom because that goes great for my stock.
Right.
When I cook my bird, I flip it upside down. And what I wanted to do, because I'm not doing the Norman Rockwell bird at the table, we serve it in platters because we have about 15 people. So by turning it upside down on a rack, you have all your fat is in your thigh. So it's slowly going into your breast meat, and it's keeping it moist.
Right.
See, Jen did a...
Jen's moving right along. She's got the cherry...
the cherry pie. All set for that.
All set, ready for the oven.
Yep, she'll be doing the blueberry, and then she'll do a fluted crust because we have, tomorrow here at BCC, we have an International Club dinner. Right. And we serve 150 guests for this. And with the pies that we've made, the students made even the pumpkin filling right from scratch because we had a whole bunch of jack-o'-lantern pumpkins. So there was a lot of pumpkins in the oven. So they learned to make a pumpkin pie from scratch.
Oh, great.
Which is a thrill. So that way it works out nice. But, you know, just remember, you know, the temperature on your turkey, and I can't stress that enough, make sure you have your, you know, get a thermometer and cook it to the right temperature. It's better a little overcooked than undercooked. But, you know, the whole part of it is having a nice time with your family and your friends. So you try to make it as less stress as you can.
Now, is there all ovens may vary, I'm sure, but what is there a set, you know, based on how much per pound, at what temperature? By and large, is there sort of a
there's a lot. There's not a hard and fast. It all depends on how you. It varies from oven to oven, but it varies from your cooking skill. If you go to like Butterball Hotline, and all week long, you know, if you have any questions, especially the night before, they're open 24 hours. We will put their number online later. They will have specific guidelines for you. I cook what I call low and slow. So I cook it anywhere from 12 to 18 hours, depending on how big my bird is, and at 200 degrees.
Oh wow, that is low.
Low and slow, but because what it does, it doesn't evaporate the moisture, you know, all the water inside, so it takes a longer time to cook, but it makes for a much tenderer bird. But again, I make sure my temperature is done. When I take it out, it sits for another half an hour or so, because what it's going to do is keep cooking till it starts cooling down. So they call that carryover cooking. So I don't want to overcook my bird, but that's a different way. Some recipes will say start high, like 425 for an hour, depending on the size of your bird, and then bring it down to 350. Some will keep it at 350. So you have to know your cooking skills. If you're very new at this, I would look on this, even the package will tell you keep it around 350, and then keep a thermometer, you know, attached to it and check it as you're going along.
Now you had mentioned it's better to overcook than undercook, but is there also the chance that, you know, the meat may be a little dry? And I agree with you. I'd rather have something overcooked than to get people sick if it's undercooked. You know, a lot of people like a tender, moist bird. And sometimes it's going to happen. When you do that,
when you put it in a brine, it's like another safety factor because you're adding moisture to it. It's absorbing the moisture. It's absorbing it all into the bird. And if you're cooking it upside down, again, that will be another way to help that. When a dry turkey usually is way overcooked, there is you have a 45-minute window. If you know, all right, hit my temperature, I'm going to take it out, it's going to rise another 10 degrees. You know that's pretty good. But if you cook it in there and it's crispy and you know it's over crispy, that was way overcooked. So it's just the learning the factor now.
So did you say that when you hit the temperature, say 180?
Well, I would take it out about 170.
And then it's going to also
It's going to go up another 10 degrees.
See, I learned something today.
Yeah, it's going to be about another 10 degrees. That would be 180 in the thigh and about 165 in the breast. Okay. So if you take it out at like 155, 160, it's still going to cook longer, and just let it sit. It's called resting. And when you rest, it gives enough time for the juices to stay in when you cut it, because if you cut it when it's hot, the juices will just bleed out. And your time will change if you want it stuffed or unstuffed. I cook mine stuffed, But if you want to unstuff a regular bird, you cut your time. Like maybe 2, 3, 4 hours, depending on the size of your bird.
Oh, okay.
So that makes a difference on your cooking time. And I find by leaving it stuffed because of the hamburger, because of the butter in my bird, when the stuffing, it stays even moister because there's more fat in it. This is a time I don't sit there and I don't scrimp and save for fat. You can enjoy it. Just enjoy in smaller portions.
Yeah. That's what's great about Thanksgiving. It's, again, one of those holidays, because it's so focused on food. You know, I know in my house we try to eat healthy, but Thanksgiving and holidays, that goes out the window.
Right. There's special times. It's more important to be with your family, be with your friends, and have that time, because we're in such a busy season here, getting ready for the holidays. Everybody's looking to go shopping on Thanksgiving, which is a no-no.
Don't get me going.
And they have Black Friday and all these things to do. This is a time to relax, regenerate your batteries, and enjoy each other's company. And
then take the nap when.
Oh yeah.
Is that real? Is that true? The tryptophan? Is that really?
It is, but most of it is if you're eating a lot.
So it's more of quantity, not specifically.
Well, it's like if you have a glass of wine or a bottle of wine. Yeah, the glass, right? It's the same idea. If I have a little piece of turkey or a big piece of turkey.
Oh, okay.
So yes, there will be something that will make you more relaxed and tired, and the tryptophan in the turkey is it, but then it's also the carbohydrates of the potatoes and the gravy and the sugar and the cranberry sauce, all those things that are really, really good. So what I try to do, and I eat on smaller plates, because I know in 20 minutes I can go back and eat again.
Right.
It's not going anywhere. Instead of sitting there with a big plate in front of me and be uncomfortable, I just, I'll sit there and, but like I said, we have our traditions of different foods. We make our own cranberry sauce and different relishes. If you see one of our shows has on the sides all the different ways of doing the vegetables and stuff like that you can make. I love turnip. I'm the only one who likes turnip. I have a friend who she'll come over for it. Somebody else likes butternut squash. Somebody likes egg. We have probably 4 different types of squash type products at the table, and we'll make home fries with it or whatever else. Leftovers, turkey shepherd's pie. Yeah, which is great. And what you usually do is I'll make a pie and I'll freeze it. I'll just put it in there with the gravy and the vegetables and the meat and everything right into the freezer. So in about a month from now, when I'm ready to wanting to have another turkey but don't want to make it all, I have turkey shepherd's pie. You mentioned something that to me is important with turkey, especially if I'm cooking and the turkey's a little on the dry side. The gravy. Now you make your own gravy? I make my own gravy. Is that with the drippings and everything that's in the pan? Right, all the drippings in the pan. I'll add a little water to it and bring it any of that what they call fond. It's that brown stuff at the bottom. Right. So I'll bring that up. I'll put it in a tall, thin container and I'll freeze it for a little bit so it takes that big layer of fat out. And then how long is it frozen? Well, you throw some ice cubes in about 15, 20 minutes. Oh, really? And you throw the ice cubes in it. We'll freeze that fat. You pull it all out. So you just take that big layer of fat out. So that's, I don't like. I'd rather just add flour to it and cook it at that point, and that's called pan gravy with all the flavors. And then where I've had it in a brine, I'm getting that brine flavor, the sugars. Right. So usually the gravy's like dark brown. Right. So which is really, really good. Right. And so you're doing a good job there. No, we try to make different pies. This is the season for pies. Right. Again, planning ahead. I could have these pies in the freezer and not baked, and then just the night before, while I'm doing something else, I could be baking off my pies, and that's what I will be doing, baking off my pre-prepared pies, and then bake them so the oven, the house is warm, it's already starting to smell good and everything else, and to get ready, because we eat usually all day long. It's not just the Thanksgiving meal, it's the breakfast before, the Macy's Day Parade. Yeah. I'm waiting for Santa at the end of that parade. And then now it seems like the tradition for television, being in the TV business that we are, you've got the Macy's Day Parade, obviously football in the afternoon, but for those who don't like football, you've got the dog show now. That seems to be a tradition. Well, we have the Hallmarks. We have It's a Wonderful Life, the Hallmarks Day. I'm a Hallmark Channel person, or a Lifetime. My wife. Yeah, it's been Christmas in my house now for about a month. My wife this weekend I'm like, what is that? Christmas shows. It's like November 20th. It started, I think it was just after Halloween. They started November 1st with our Christmas shows, and my husband just kind of shakes his head and walks by. And like I do. I just, okay, honey, you can watch that. And we were already, last night was one of those shows, was The Wizard of Oz, was last night.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
So that's our tradition, at least 3 times during the holidays. Well, it's my husband's favorite show.
Yeah. I always was It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful Life fan. Anyway, so much for that's Christmas. We're talking Thanksgiving tonight. Feel free to give us a call if you have any Thanksgiving meal questions for Chef Cabral. 508-730-3222. We are waiting for your calls, and we'll be glad to answer your questions about Thanksgiving, as we're only 3 days away from Thanksgiving, and then the Christmas holiday season will start the day after. It's really a short Christmas season this year, with Thanksgiving being so late. Interesting.
Oh, yeah, and it's, the Hanukkah starts the day after Thanksgiving. So everything's kind of a little bit different this year. Usually expected around the same time. And, but, it makes, again, it's just keeping us on our toes of what we have to do.
All right, now Jen finished the 2 pies that are here. Now, what is she doing? Starting from scratch?
Yeah, this is her dough. She's going to be rolling out, and she'll make the fluted crust, which is the plain crust that will come around here for pumpkin pies.
For a pumpkin pie, okay.
Yeah, it could be a pumpkin pie, it could be a lemon pie, whatever you would like to put in it. Sometimes I'll use butternut squash. It's what's available to me, and then we would just add in whatever we like. I go to some recipes on the internet are really good, but not all of them. So don't try things that you don't know on a big special day. If you have a special recipe that you've done over and over again, it's great for the holidays.
Yeah, you don't want to do any experimenting. Not too much, unless you're like Chef Cabral, a really great chef, and can get away with experimenting.
Even then we'll do a nice pecan pie,
okay,
which will be nice for this time. Or sometimes I'll do a walnut cranberry pie, which, because this is also the time for cranberries.
Right, absolutely.
And so we'll do, we just do a lot. A lot of times we'll make little pies, mini pies, because you don't want to have a lot of leftovers. So if you have 3 or 4 different mini pies, and people can just split it between 2 or 1, and this way you can enjoy having a bite of this one, a bite of that one. And I only use real whipped cream. I will whip up our own cream with very little sugar, because this way you need that little bit of sugar, but it makes it really nice. And this one here, we add a little bit of cinnamon to it.
Right.
You can add a little bit of bourbon if on a nice on a pecan pie. And sometimes I'll add a little bit of whiskey into the crust, because it just carries it over. On an apple pie, we'll add a little cheddar cheese into the crust.
Now, what's in the filling of a general pumpkin pie?
General pumpkin pie is fresh or canned pumpkin.
Okay.
Then you would add depending on how thick you want, it could be heavy cream, it could be evaporated milk, it could be regular skim milk. So the less, like a skim milk would make for a smoother, but creamier pie, but not as heavy. And you add sugar and your spices. Some people use pumpkin pie spice. I use cinnamon, cloves, ginger, and a pinch of nutmeg, and which it gives it a nice. But I use probably half of what a recipe says, because it's a pumpkin pie, I want to taste pumpkin.
Right.
It's like apple pie, you want to taste apple.
Right.
So usually we cut the sugar down and the spices, because you want to know what you're eating.
Right.
See,
now Jen is getting ready to transport the dough right into the pie pan.
See, she's done a very good job on this. Jen is one of our freshman student who, she's made many pies, because she's been one of our Skills USA for the college this year. She did Skills USA, which is a competition that we do here in high school. And she did very well in high school, and she's going to do better in college. Yes, she will.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, yeah. We'll work you. After 500 pies, you'll be awesome. And so what we try to do is, at this time of the year, like all our freshmen learn the basics, because this is what you want to do. You want to make pies if you're in the baking program. Our culinary students get to work on turkeys. They learn to cut turkeys up, because we have different functions, so they cook a lot of turkeys over the last week. So this way they're prepared for when they do it for themselves at home. What's important is you keep your crust cold, but not too cold that you can work with, because if you want it to have a nice layering and fluffiness to it, and that comes when you bake it. See? But now, when you're brining your turkey, we'll go back to brining turkeys.
Yeah, go back to the turkey.
Right, the turkeys are, what's nice about brining a turkey is making it your own flavor to yourself. What you like to do. Some people love the herb rosemary, sage, which is very common. The Italian version of it, like this is rosemary, sage, and thyme, are very Italian. That goes great in the brine. And like I said, ice cold water, and you put your turkey in it. I usually put in a cooler probably it's supposed to be 3 pounds of salt to 1 pound of sugar. But where I like sweetness, I reverse it. I put 1 pound of sugar to 3 pounds of salt. And it gives my gravy a deeper color because of the sugar from that. We'll go through many different types. Like I said, we bought some pre-made brines, and you look for them on the different internet websites. Go to reputable ones.
There we go.
Oh, there you go. Reputable sites, and they'll show you. And here I have, I think,
how big is
cinnamon
that
sticks.
turkey?
That one is about a 18 or 19 pound turkey.
Okay.
What I try to look for when I buy a turkey is a big breast and short legs, because that means if it has short legs and really wide, that means there's more meat on the breast.
Okay.
When you get those long-legged birds, that means they've been walking around a little too much. You know, we like we like those short little leg person. You know, we like.
What about the lazy birds?
I like those. Yeah, the lazy ones, the little, you know, the little chubby ones, because that will give me more money for, you know, more value for my money on that. In my house, the little tips, the winglets that people don't usually use.
Right.
My brother loves the little winglets, and I eat the middle piece. And we're all good.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law likes what they call the parson's nose, the last part over the fence, the little tail.
Ah.
And in our house, there's a few people who like to do that. Dark meat is one of the ones they're not too. That's the last to go, so that's where I stick in the turkey pie. They don't notice it as much in turkey soup.
Right.
And we'll make with the bones and everything else. We'll make turkey soup, which just throw it while you're eating. The bones are in the pot.
Right.
Boiling away. By the time you stop eating, you shut it, cool it. Voila, throw some rice in it.
There you go.
Leftover veggies, you're all set. And you can freeze that for another time or use it, you know, to have it on another meal.
So right now that bird is stuffed.
Yep.
Correct?
Yes.
And I see a brown paper bag.
Yes, my grandmother always put the birds in a brown paper bag. And what that does, it absorbs the fat. So
Makes sense.
it'll have a slit in the bottom, so the water will drain out and all the stock will drain out.
Okay.
But the fat is being absorbed into the brown paper bag. It's also, I never baste it because it tends to tent it all in, and it keeps the moisture in, and it does all the basting, so I get a nice golden brown turkey.
So you put the bird, I'm sure we're going to see this, you're going to put the bird right in the bag, and then you're going to cut a slit on the bottom? Is that
when I get it into the container, I just poke little holes in the bottom so it just drains out, because what happens too, if I cut the holes too big, I will end up losing the stuffing and everything else. That was a big bird. Usually at home, when I cook them, they're about 24 pounds, because I have a big family, and I'm a turkey sandwich person.
Oh, yeah.
We love to make turkey sandwiches and all the leftovers with that. So sometimes at that point it can be a two-person bagger.
Yeah, this is a struggle right here with this bird.
And it's a struggle for me, because you figure if it's an 18-pound bird like there, and then you add another 10 pounds of stuffing, there you go. You get to, and you make sure it's a fresh bag that hasn't been used. Yeah.
I was gonna say, you don't want it to fall through the bottom there.
Right, and those bags are pretty sturdy, and I always make sure, because they worry about the coloring on it. And the coloring is food coloring, because it's biodegradable bags, so it's not dangerous to anybody.
Okay.
But I always ask, for clean bags when I go to them. I don't explain to the bagger, because they're like, "What do you mean?" But but they give me clean bags, and there are many. Well, we're talking about stuffing.
Yeah, you're putting more in there now.
Right.
Now you also, I think at this point, you actually you said you flip the bird upside down.
It's upside down now.
That is upside down.
That is upside down.
Okay.
And then we'll seal the bag and put them on a rack. So the rack will keep them off the bottom of a pan. It'll drain, the little bit of the stock will drain underneath, and then we just have to pick it up from the rack, so it's not sitting in water, which works out very well. You can try different stuffings, but like it says, on your Thanksgiving, whatever you use, always make yours. And if you want to try a new one, because I mean, there's people use chestnuts, because this is chestnut season.
Right.
Make a chestnut. Oyster stuffings, which is a little different. Like I said, a traditional Portuguese, a rice stuffing. I talked to a gentleman today who uses collard greens, because he comes from the South.
Right.
And so he says he puts collard greens, Italian sausage, and mashed potatoes in his stuffing. I said, well, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
But that's traditional to where he is from.
You did a great job with that.
Beautiful job.
Yeah.
Beautiful job. So we'll have a few pies for tomorrow I think we have about 15 or 16 pies, at least, and on top of cookies to make. Yeah. And we keep our students busy here all the time, because even though we're at school, we teach that's the constant practice of making things, and that's how you become more proficient. And we're very proud of our students around here.
One last opportunity to join us on the show live, 508-730-3222. If you have any burning questions for Chef Cabral as we get set for Thanksgiving 2013. Now, in terms of your routine, you've already mentioned that you sort of go through stages. You do things like some of the things you freeze ahead of time. Normally, when do you start, pulling things out of the freezer, getting ready for cooking on Thanksgiving Day?
Usually, like tonight, I'll pull my stuffing out, which is Monday night.
Really?
So
Okay.
tomorrow it'll be still soft. It won't be soft, but it's still a little frozen. But I can stuff it still semi-frozen because it's cold, and it will take its time to cook because where it's a long time. My turkey's been out since Thursday, so it takes a week for because it's so big. But the breast, because I also cook a side breast.
So you had a frozen bird?
Yeah, I buy a frozen bird, and then I bought also a breast. A hotel breast on top of that.
Okay.
And that came out yesterday. So you plan it accordingly. My pies, I go right from freezer to oven. I don't let them thaw. So we let them go right in there. The night before, I will prep all my vegetables. I put them in cold water, so all my potatoes will be cut.
Okay.
All my turnips and squash and everything will be done. My cranberry sauce is already made because I jar those.
Right.
And so this way, and I do buy soft rolls. I don't make a little bread roll, so I will buy a local, at a local bakery, some nice soft rolls for those people who want to have a little piece of bread with it. But other than that, everything else is made, or my guests bring in their specialties also.
So basically, the prep work is done, and then when Thanksgiving is here, it's basically oven in.
That's
cook.
right. And then within an hour, everything else is done because it's already prepped, and you've had that resting time and family time and everything else.
Right.
And we're looking forward to a wonderful and busy Thanksgiving. And I know Jen will be busy.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, she'll be making pies at home.
She's getting the practice here, and she's got a job at home.
That's it. And so, if anybody's ever interested too, we also have, you can call here for the website. We also have the Love of Cooking website, and we'll always answer any question you would like to ask.
And one of the things that's important, you mentioned it before, is on the screen now, Butterball Hotline. If you didn't join us tonight, that's all well and good because we are replaying the show between now and Thanksgiving. If you have any questions on the preparation of your turkey on Thanksgiving, you can call the Butterball Hotline, 1-800-BUTTERBALL. Easy enough to remember.
That's right. And we want you to have a safe and healthy Thanksgiving. And enjoy it. Enjoy it with your family. Enjoy it with your friends. And we'll be enjoying it because we have a lot on our plate.
Yeah, literally a lot on their plate.
A lot on our plate.
Well, Gloria, I want to thank you for joining us tonight. Jen, I want to thank you. Great job with the pies. Wish I could taste one, but that's okay.
Tomorrow,
That's okay.
dinner.
Tomorrow with the International Club event, the Thanksgiving dinner, they'll be enjoying these fine pies. So, Gloria, thank you. Have a great Thanksgiving. Jen, you as well.
Thank you.
We want to thank you for joining us this year as well for Thanksgiving Tips and Tricks. I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great Thanksgiving holiday. We'll talk to you next time.